We're so close to having this intro be correct. We're on the
No,
precipice
we
of
aren't.
the
We're not doing
tour.
a DFS preview that day.
That's
It's just like
true.
that's true.
It'll never be correct. What's up, everybody? Welcome back in Betsperts Golf here for the Valspar Championship off of the back of Monday, exciting Monday finish, Andrew. Maybe not so much, but uh, tough scene for the Rory haters among us, winning at definitely non-Rory courses. Now, again, Rory, for most of us here, would argue that is an elite golfer, can win at any stop on tour, though I don't think we would have Pebble and
Pebble and
Sawgrass.
Sawgrass
Yeah.
wasn't on the bingo card.
No, even for the most optimistic Rory
Many are
supporters.
saying he's broken and he can't win normally right now. A lot of people are saying like, what's wrong with Rory? No, I mean it's funny how it is like aligned for shit. He's kind of looking good on an Augusta type course, but so it'll be fun when he gets like lived or something when it's just like Brooks that day. Because we talked about that the other day with golf. It's crazy. Like I can't remember who we were talking about. It was like JT Cantlay and a couple other guys who just haven't won in a long time. And it's like,
Yeah.
hey, you can have a top 5 round of your year, or a top 4 rounds of your year, and somebody else just is a little bit better. And oh shucks, you got second place. When maybe that performance wins 30 other weeks. You know, sometimes it just sucks. And it sucks to get second, third, fourth when you're playing that well. But golf's hard. You got to beat 150 guys some weeks.
Definitely made the case for JJ Spawn. Probably played the best golf of his 2025 season and came up short. With a guy like that, though, to cash that check, even though you don't get the win and all that comes with the win, in terms of points and stuff like that, pretty impactful. Second place finish for a JJ Spawn. So look at me, the players. I didn't get to catch much of it, but tried to keep up a little bit. It's just that's what we expect from the players, right? It's just such a highly varied event. You add the wind on top of it, and it became just a wild leaderboard. Like, what is going on heading into the weekend? You're like, what is this? Like, this is best field in golf, which we know is not the case anymore. But a really strong PGA Tour field, and you're just seeing the Bud Collies and JJ Spawns of the world that are just typically, we don't expect them to have late weekend tee times, but that is Sawgrass. We have more, I guess, highly variable golf on tap. That's kind of the nature of Florida anyway, with all the water in play and wind continuing. We seem to have some wind. It's going to be an issue here for the Valspar. But again, another typically difficult golf course that has difficult stretches for the most part, depending on the year, depending on how that wind kicks up, is going to play anywhere from a quarter shot under or over par to almost a full stroke over par, depending on what's going to happen here. So a decent field comparatively, where it is in the schedule. I wouldn't expect
I thought something was broken when I looked at the field. I'm like,
yeah,
there's like 5 or 6 really big names here, and I guess that was surprising, was just the nature of how it goes. But I think maybe some of these guys are playing here and going to skip Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously we have this, and then you have the Texas 2-step into the Masters. So I don't know if everybody wanted to take 3 weeks off, and if they don't want to play in Texas, maybe they live in Florida and they want to play this, go home, play at their home course for a week, and then go up to Georgia and play. Maybe that's the move for some of these bigger names. But Xander, JT, there's some Sepp, Shane, Tommy Ladd. There's some decent names here, and that's exciting because no one's made any bets this week. The whole of golf Twitter has ground to a halt. I mean, it hasn't moved. There's people. It isn't just I haven't made bets yet. There's people like, I'm not putting up my preview yet. I'm not releasing an article that I normally release at this time of week because I need a little more info. Yeah, I've seen a couple other writers, like, I would love to know the tee times before I make some strong decisions. I mean, there's so many people that bet, who's waiting now, assholes? I guess I'm the guy I'm always betting on like Tuesday and Wednesday, but
1,000%.
a lot of the early better guys are, pumping the brakes. Do not blame them right now. I think that's the biggest story this time of week is like Thursday afternoon and Friday morning. looks like nasty wind. And, I talked to Drew about this. But if you have Thursday afternoon looks really shitty. So the people that play afternoon and morning are going to have a bad round. But when you have this double dip where it looks like 2 of your rounds in the first, 2 days are going to be during the bad weather, and the other, sometimes there's a 3-stroke difference. Sometimes it's bigger than that between these waves, and I don't know if I want to be blindly firing either. So that's the show, guys. We'll check the Discord, check our Twitter at AndyMSFW, at RY Noonan. We'll let you know who we bet once we figure out tee times. But I mean, we can look at some stuff, I guess, for the course for sure. I guess
I think we can.
We can go a little longer than this, 6 minutes, but I'm among the brake pumpers because I normally am.
Yeah, you're an early adapter. We're a little bit catching up to you, playing a little slow roll.
Yeah, noon today. So 2 hours from when we're doing. If you're watching this live, 2 hours, noon central, roughly when we should get some tee times, guys.
To Andy's point, I mean, it can be a massive multiple shot swing, and it's just very difficult. It's like I'd rather lose some points on the board, which that's not even really happened because to Andy's other point is it's been a pretty quiet market early, so there's not a lot of numbers that have been on the move. Some of the guys that I have an idea that I want to go there if they're on the right side, those numbers are still there. So I feel like it's been a good process. I hate losing that number. Never shame anyone to get a win at 25 when I got a win at 30, but at the same time, personally, I want the win at 30, right? So this week it doesn't really matter. I definitely, you're gonna have guys that are just, it could be very much dead because of having it be the two-way swing. So massive implications for DFS as well. You're just essentially drawing dead. You'd have to have multiple guys run really, really hot on the wrong side of the wave. So again, I looked at it again this morning. It seems to still be that where Thursday afternoon, Friday morning is significantly worse baseline wins than what you would see on Thursday morning and Friday afternoon. So worth waiting and seeing. But again, this portion of the show can be preparation. Start to get, a little bit of a list of some names that you're looking for. Start to get an understanding of, guys you want to target when those do come out later this afternoon and get a sense of, what matters here at Valspar. So that's what we'll do with most of it. It's like neither of us have bets to share because neither of us have made bets. Ron as well, just kind of slow rolling it a little bit this week. So I know people wanted to, parlay TGL, last night with outrights today. I don't think that worked out very well for people because I think we, had a TGL upset. So
what? Nobody liked New York. New York's been coming in hot. They're like the underseeded 13 seed coming in hot. You know what turned their season around? Back to the players, not really the players, but when they goofed on Rory for missing that putt. And what is this? What's the name of the course where he lost Bryson?
Pinehurst.
Yeah, what is it? He said, "What is this, Pinehurst?" And it went from the official New York Golf Club TGL account. Tough amount of hate for one of the owners and founders of TGL. But that turned their whole season around. Now they're in the finals. So we'll find out who wins the other semifinal tonight.
He snatched phones for less. So, I mean, they got on the right side of things. But
just because we're not going to talk a lot about guys we're betting, we should talk about that too. Bad move. Like when it's like when I talk to my children, when you give someone a reaction, it's going to make them want to do it again. Because the people who do that sort of shit at golf are not reasonable people. They're the outliers. Guys who are going to yell and make fun of a professional. I'm terrified of making a peep when a golfer's swinging or playing. I'll cheer after a good shot or something. But the people who are willing to do that are not normal. Or they're not, they've had enough beers where they're not normal. Knowing that you're going to get a reaction and you might get on Twitter. You might be like, "Hey, Rory punched me. Look at me. I'm on my video got 1 million views on it's going to make it worse, I think, if you start interacting with these hecklers."
But that's the thing that made the thing even more worse.
That with Zach Johnson.
Yeah.
I mean, that certainly didn't let up after he went and yelled at that one guy. So don't. I don't mind like Rory sticking up for himself, but I think it should have done in the media afterwards. Be like, that kid's an asshole, and hopefully, or just go to a marshal and be like, get him out of here. Just kick him out quietly.
Yeah.
Kick him out because that sucks. It sucks. Getting into the tournament and then getting booted.
But even that's also the part of the other part of the story.
Kick him off the tour, dog.
This is a kid. This is a kid that's trying to be a peer of Rory's in the next 5 years or so.
That's what I'm saying. No winner. Bonehead moved by him too. It's not just like some accountant at Deloitte who, like, oh no, Rory's mad at me. Like, what if he makes it on tour?
Yeah, I mean that's it. I think that's like, society in general is like we're reacting to the reactions. Like, well, why don't we react to the kid being a dumbass? Like, you're out there because you competed in a tournament across the street the day before. You happen to win the damn thing. So you're feeling yourself a little bit. You're like, oh, I'm going to fire some. Yeah, I'm going to go, take some shots at Rory today. It's like, what are you doing, bud? Like,
well, no, but so again, stupid. It goes back to the little kid thing. Who gets in trouble? It's the kid who hits second.
For sure.
It's the same thing. Like, Rory can't be pulling that stuff. Bonehead moved by both of them. But, man, whatever. Things happen, I guess.
Fired up, pissed off Rory seemed to play some pretty good golf. So we'll see how that continues to play out. Again, I tried to make the case early in the season for this being the year of Rory. I did not think we would have 2 in the bag at Siggy's going into the Masters. So, again, we'll see what that looks like. But not necessarily a Masters play, but I feel like, obviously you go into the Quails, a place that he likes. You hit you need length to survive at Oakmont, and then obviously we're going to Portrush as well. So he's going to continue to be definitely in the mix as, Scotty continues to, scuffle is not even fair, just relative to the bar that Scotty set himself last year was going to be unsustainable anyway. Still playing really good golf, but not necessarily that, oh crap, Scotty's, in the mix even a little bit. Everyone else should be terrified. I don't think we've necessarily felt that quite yet, but we'll probably get there. He's pretty good at golf. I think he'll probably.
Drew asked me about that the other day too, and he said, "Should right now Rory be favored over Scotty at the Masters at any major?" And said,
"No."
I said no, but you could make a case that he's the better golfer right now. But long term, and there's 3 weeks still. I don't think I'd be hanging, 450 on both of them. Rory should be very close second fiddle. Yeah. And, obviously things can happen between now and then, but I'm not sure how much golf we'll see those guys play. Scotty will play one of the Texas events.
Scotty will play Houston.
Yep. So we'll get to see him play. Don't know that we'll see Rory.
Rory, I think he said he was playing.
He play Houston?
Yeah, I think he said he's playing one of them. I think it makes more sense for him to play Houston.
So I don't see something that makes a big swing outside of an injury. It'll be Scotty 5, Rory 6, something along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah, which is probably fair. I mean, not even the best golfer in the world, obviously. Joaquin Niemann is.
Yeah, Neiman's going to be like 25-30, right?
We did this last year with Niemann, who was actually even in better form than he is so far this year.
He hasn't shown anything at a major yet.
Anything.
Ever. It's tough to just be like, oh, this is the one. Not only is he going to finally top 10, he's going to win it all.
He was like the 9-hole leader at the Masters like 3 years ago. And that was, that was it. So, sorry, Phil. I mean, I understand what you're doing. We all understand what you're doing. But yeah, that's tough. So we'll see it from Niemann in a, actual event that doesn't involve like Bubba Watson being one of, just a tough scene. Sure. Sorry, range goats, season's still young. So, all right.
On Valspar. To Innisbrook, Copperhead. Let's look at the course. Let's just look at the course. I mean, the main thing is, not too dissimilar. There's water danger, a lot of bunkering here. A lot of clubbing down, I guess, would be another one. Yep. I mean, it's another week of that. Dog legs, double dog legs, narrow fairways, a penal rough, water. The true ball strikers can eat here. And by eat, I mean make a lot of pars. Because the winner is going to be like, 10, 12 under. It's not... especially if we do see these nasty conditions that are going to maybe wipe out half the field's opportunity to get to double digits. It's going to be a tough one. And yeah, look, you can see this, the driver usage, 53.3% over the last 5 years. Your tour average, 67.3%. That is a pretty big swing. You can see that drives that go 320 plus, 9.1% of drives. Tour average, 13.7. It is definitely clubbing down, finding it, positional golf, finding your way around these dog legs and narrow corridors. So accuracy and long irons. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
Kind of
what's
it.
interesting
Kind of
too,
it, man.
it is kind of it. I mean, driver usage, and you see this driver usage, and you still see the driving accuracy being so low, right? This is also a solid, 7 to 5% year to year below total average. And then you also go to approach and you look at, all right, these guys are laying back, they're keeping themselves in the fairway. It's going to raise their, greens and reg percentage, greens and reg, also like 9 to 10% below total average. So like it's required, it's a necessity to keep yourself in play, but even then it's not necessarily helping you hit greens and reg at a higher rate. So it's definitely, a tougher spot. We've seen some responses to some lower scores over the years. You had the Burns years where he got to 17. We've seen a little bit of response to that in terms of what they did with the rough. The rough over the last handful of years has been, 3 inches, but 2 years ago they moved it up to almost 4, 3.75 heading into the week, typically not cutting it as the week goes along. And then you've seen some changes with the rough aprons around the green, growing that rough out as well. That's added some difficulty to the around the green game, and that matters even more when you have such a low greens and reg rate. So, definitely, again, like you said, you're going to play, a quarter to a full stroke under par, depending on where you are on the wave advantage and how things are playing here. And you typically you're going to see, I think 10 to 12 is probably where we're going to see the winner fall at versus where you see those Burns years. You go back to the Paul Casey years of single digits and, 10 or so. That makes significantly more sense. I think that's what we should expect again. The more you go through it, that Malnati performance last year is such an outlier in terms of what he does well and what's required here. It's just so strange. I feel like you should just almost completely remove it from your mind in terms of trying to find a golfer fit and to look at like Peter Malnati being anything that's signal. It is just noise. He's bad before. He's been really bad since. Congratulations. He's, cashed that check and got himself into a bunch of stuff since because of it. But huge outlier. But again, you look at the leaderboard. You got Malnati's, Mac Hughes, Chandler Phillips, Ryan Moore's mixed in with Shoffley's, Cam Young's. Those guys that can poke it out there a little bit. Just kind of a weird leaderboard. And that's, again, feels not too dissimilar from last week, where I think you get a lot of variance in terms of what matters here, what shows up, and trying to take out the wind is a factor as well. Just kind of a tougher handicap, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's not like I've been crushing it right now, anyway. So my brain's broken, telling me not to bet much anyway. I did hit Sepp Straka top 20 last week at like plus 105, but
nice.
Also had Wyndham Clark to do well. He didn't. Spoiler alert.
Same. Yeah.
He is injured. Not only did I curse him to lose, I cursed him to injure himself. I don't know. Did you look at anyone right off the bat? Zal stuck out for me just based off the ball striking, long irons.
Yeah.
But again, if he's in the shitty wave, I'm not super excited. I liked what you said about him, and then I started digging in, and obviously he popped in everything I looked at as well. Ben Griffin is here. And Ben Griffin is someone I've always loved at everything.
Playing a lot of golf.
Sepp Straka quietly playing very, very good golf, despite missing the cut by a single stroke. Michael Kim still playing really, really good golf. Lucas Glover, I guess. I don't know. He's a great ball striker. What are you going to do? Hate on Lucas Glover? Think he can't do it again? Alex Smalley, he's a name that's been bandied around just because I think he can club down and still put himself in good positions to have some nice iron shots, and he's a good ball striker, good approach player.
Yeah, you get some of these guys who are just grinding. Michael Kim just every week, just putting the peg in the ground, trying to get himself to Augusta. Respect. He's on the Sanjay plan. Alex Smalley's on the Sanjay plan. These guys just every single week they're in the field. Just, and I get it. Hey, if I was that close to teeing it up at Augusta, points, without the win or giving myself a shot with a win, like, let's go play some golf, whatever we need to go get done. So yeah, this is just searching by strokes gained total over the last 6 months. Your ball strikers, which is really, I think, what we're going to have here. When you kind of go back through this is what I think is really important this week. Kind of like what we've had a few different times here. Ball striking difficult. And you look at the last couple of years, less than driver, which we kind of already showed. Strokes gained off the tee, very difficult. Strokes gained approach, difficult. We saw greens and reg, difficult. So difficult ball striking test, which I think is an interesting way to look at it. This is a spot where no form or really, really, really short-term recent form is held up pretty well. I do think looking at correlated courses this week makes a ton of sense as well. There was a listed here for you as well. Sawgrass, Harbortown, Riviera, Walleye, Colonial, which makes a lot of sense to me, especially when you get to those wins. Definitely positional golf. Southwind and San Antonio, which we'll see in just a couple of weeks. So, go through this course stats page and get a sense of how to build. Some of this has changed too. Ron and I were touching on it yesterday. Some of this needs to be updated with some of the changes because, again, this is the last handful of years average, but now our rough length is almost 4, which has definitely changed the way the around the green has played itself out here. Definitely a more difficult scrambling around the green proximity test than it's been in years past. So difficult ball striking is definitely a way to look at things this week. Have you built a model?
I haven't. I was going to yesterday, didn't get a chance. Did you? Can we just pull yours up and take a look at what you're into right now?
We got Andy Lax popped up his second here this morning. Again, if you're joining us for the first time, we appreciate that. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also find Betsperts Golf on any of your podcasts. This is our rabbit hole database. You're going to find lots of different folks in the industry building models to help limit your player pool, kind of streamline the process to get a sense of who you need to be betting on. Guy Andy Lack at Inside Golf. One of the best at doing it. It's got a couple of versions up here. This is what I built so far. Feel good when kind of the top of the board. Yeah, it's going to pull itself out here. My top 5 in the model: Xander Schauffele, Sepp Straka, Shane Lowry, Will Zalatoris, and Corey Connors. Some of the other leaders in terms of odds. Fleetwood's there at 9. I see Justin Thomas a little further down at 13, but kind of in the mix still. Tom Kim at 35 played some pretty good golf. Struck it well, at least last week at Sawgrass too. So that's what jumped out to me. Looking at strokes gained total last 2 years, difficult scoring conditions. So this is difficult and very difficult, which again, you see, guys getting into double digits. Again, the baseline is going to play under par. So that would qualify as difficult scoring conditions for us. Xander leader there, Sepp inside the top 10. See, not a great, sample for Zalatoris, a little wonky because we know we missed some time there. That's still going to bode well for Victor Hovland, who is absolutely lost in the wilderness right now. So hard for me, but I'm putting a line through Hovland right now. And the ball striking hasn't been bad. He gets on and around the green, and it's like he's never played the game before. And it's right, he's been abysmal. So
and every week he's giving the Max Homa speech where it's like, yeah, I know I'm not playing good, but I'm about to turn this around. And then he goes out and shoots, Max Homa scores. And it's been kind of a tough hang for a little bit here.
Yeah.
Look at the red the past 3 weeks.
I mean, this whole on and around the green is just so consistently bad. Gaining on approach at Bay Hill massively. But just not enough. I mean, 3 strokes putting is where do you lose like 6.5 strokes putting that one round at API? It's just absolutely brutal. But again, gaining strokes on approach last week at the Players. The rest of it is kind of lost. So I'm a big guy. I'll be here when he is ready, and he'll be ready to jump right back on that wagon. But right now, I want to see it a little bit first. So also looking at ball striking, what did I do? Ball striking last 2 years were, again, difficult to gain off on approach, difficult to gain off the tee. Also put in greens and reg, difficult in there as well. So kind of a mixed hybrid, but got a decent sample, which I was surprised with. So I like that stat this week. Leaders there. Again, you're going to get some real small samples with some of these guys in the field this week, but it's good for Keith Mitchell, Corey Connors, Xander Schauffele, Joel Damon. The ball striking for Damon's been great I'm not sure it's enough to get him on the card, but that's been really good for him too. Did the same with approach. Just looked at the approach through that lens as well. So some overlap with the ball striking, but I really, again, a second shot course, want to hone in on all things approach this week. So next I did a rolling. This is last 12, last 36, last 75 approach. A little bit more weight to 36, but just going to get a sense of how you're striking the irons.
I was wondering what filters you had on that, because when you sorted by just rank, Corey Connors had a big red on his approach, and that didn't seem right.
Yeah, so let's see where Connors is. I mean, so he's been off the tee. Has been so much better than he has been with his irons of late. Like, he gained a ton off the tee, gained a ton with short game at Sawgrass, but the irons were kind of just okay. And that shows out here, which is kind of surprising for Corey Connors. So I'll be off of him this week. I'll fade that. That can turn real quick for a guy with such a strong baseline, but I'm gonna pass on Connors this week, especially at like 20, which is a little rich. So also added a little bit on the higher proximity ranges, which I think matter the most this week. Got a lot of long irons. 150 to 200 plus is really almost like 65% of the shots this week. So wanted to capture that. That's in here as well. So again, a lot of overlap, a lot of approach numbers built in here. But again, I think we both typically agree, typically ends up being the best way to, if you're going to double count anywhere. Scrambling in the rough. This is what the filters are here. Scrambling in the rough, difficult and average. Looking at the last with long rough, looking at a big sample here of the last 75 rounds. Again, just I think short game matters somehow. So this is how I wanted to capture it this week. Par 3 scoring unique here. Andy, we don't typically touch on par 3 scoring very much, but we have 5 of them here, and they're all 190 plus. They are long par 5. So I put on a par 3 scoring difficult over the last 2 years. Looking at some of these long, and again, some of this is going to be captured in the approach numbers, approach proximity, but again, not even looking at birdie or better, just surviving these difficult par 3s. So looking at your par 3 scoring average. There's Zalatoris. Again, that holds up well for him. Xander, Rasmus Højgaard has been kind of struggling too, but I'm trying to get a sense of who's played these long par 3s well. See Sam Burns, Sepp Straka in here. Benny Ann, Connors is here as well.
That's something I thought about this week, and I dismissed it because I think it was a dumb thought, but the eagle rate is so low here, and there's not 5s that you're going to have a lot of eagle looks at. So I thought, should I be upweighting par 4 scoring? And then I looked at them like, oh, like there's more 3s. Like maybe I should look at 3 and 4s. You still need to put yourself into positions to birdie those 5s. Like when you're looking at what the easiest holes are, it's the first hole. It's a par 5. The 5th hole is the 4th easiest hole. It's a par 5. The 3rd easiest hole is a par 5. You still need to. The 2nd easiest hole is a par 5. Like you still need to find your way around those 5s and find some birdies, because it's probably where you're going to do your scoring. You're just not going to drive it and be able to 2-putt for birdie on a lot of these, because the eagle rates are so low, especially outside of 1, man.
And the par 4s are weird. There's some smaller par 4s. Some of that is, where you're going to find those forced layups. So they're still playing over par for the most part that you see. But, we see a lot of par 4s that are stretching out, 450 plus these days. And for the most part here, really outside of the 3rd hole, everything's pretty short. Relative
look at 8 there. Or excuse me, scroll back up. Where was I? The par 4. Oh, the 12th hole, 380. It's only 380, but it's pretty much playing even par, because you're just not getting that. You're not getting those looks from that second shot.
Yeah. So very interesting, unique layout. So that's why I put in the par 3 scoring, because I think it matters this week. You're having an extra one of them, and they're all at least 190. I think there's one that's 190, and then the rest are, to me, 215, 200. 235. You see the 4th is 195. So long approaches. In coming away with a par there is probably a pretty good score. So last thing I think I did some comp courses. Yeah, so approach and ball striking on these comp courses. And then I looked at strokes gained total in the wind because I think we're going to have windy conditions this week. So I want to see who's played well in the wind. Let's look at that ranking. Let's see. Again, small sample for some of these guys. Fishburne, Xander, Hoey, Hall, Burns, Ryder, Seabez, Cooch, Sam Stevens, and Andrew Novak have been your best wind players. Again, we're trying to avoid it as much as possible. It's not completely avoidable. You're going to have some overlap. You're going to have some guys that are, kind of on the fringe of, late, early wave that we're trying to talk about. But again, you'd rather see, the better performance than not, for sure. Let's look at your poor wind performers here. See if we can cross some names out. Make it a little bit easier. Your defending champ, Peter Monali. Let's see, Kiz. Good for Kiz. Still playing golf. Jake Knapp's not been very good. Joel Highsmith's not been very good. Jordan Spieth not been very good in the wind. Zal also not very good in the wind. So this is why we want Zal on the right side of things here. Gala, Cam Young, Taylor Moore, Red Stater, Taylor Moore likes. It's not like the wind. So, yeah. I don't know if that led you anywhere or if that brought anything to you. Thoughts? Anything I missed? Anything you want to add?
I'm kind of in the same spot as I was, and I don't love where I'm at because I like a lot of guys near the top of the board, and I know that's probably not where I want to go with this tournament.
Yeah.
But it is probably going to just turn into finding some guys with prices that I like who are decent enough ball strikers when you look at it from a, like Kitayama.
I know. What's a Kitayama?
Kitayama, good ball striker. I don't know. It might be team no putt where I get some of those guys like Damon still can't putt. Damon, how do we say his name? People say it both ways, and it drives me nuts because I never know, and it's not like some super hard to pronounce name.
Yeah, I'm a Damon guy. I don't know.
I always say Damon because the H bothers me. All right, Damon, yeah team no putt. Kitayama, team no putt, but great ball strikers, especially Joel, how he's playing. We're just going to be Joel from now on, apparently.
Joel
Kevin Yu, Rico, team no putt. Victor Hovland, team no chip and putt. Honestly, Justin Thomas, his putting has kind of let him down. And he's played pretty well, but obviously his price is not something I was trying to hunt for. Adam Svensson, the other Canadian. Another good ball striker, good approach player, good long approach player. Again, putting can be a little rough. So some of those guys those are names I'm keying in on. I'm probably going to play some of those guys looking at once we get prices and tee times. Because, I've probably just jinxed all those guys into 3 p.m. tee times on Thursday.
I mean, this short game stuff for Kurt Kitayama is
rough.
It's rough. It's going to matter here, right? I mean, but again, mostly chipping. I mean, mostly putting. The around the green is actually not bad. So the short game stuff is tied to the putting numbers. So you can see a little dip on the approach from where we were baseline wise, or a nice fall swing, but he's kind of come back to earth a little bit. Lost a little bit of approach at the players, but decent at the cog. Decent in Mexico. That miscut, I know, hurt a lot of folks. We had a lot of subscribers on matchups and different stuff, and that was definitely a painful one. That field, considering his lead-in form seemed pretty decent, but yeah, that's tough on Kitayama. I mean, Svensson's gonna ball striking is nice on Svensson. Let's look at Zal. Encouraging. I mean, obviously a massive blow up in the back nine. Kind of full eject, which can happen. You'd rather not happen, but you see positive poetry of putting numbers. Again, last 6 months. Let's see if we get a little bit better. Again, not great anywhere, but Poe is solid at least. Not closing well in the last 16 rounds. This is a tough round 4 showing here. Again, you like to see this. The mid long irons that we're going to have a lot of this week is green. We're mostly going to have from him this week too. But you can see approach numbers are up, ball striking up, putting not great, but we're on his favorite surface. A lot of encouraging signs here. Zalatoris, again, not really knocking on the door yet anywhere, but obviously was very much so at the Players until that back nine jumped up and grabbed him a little bit. So we like Zalatoris historically in spots like this too, Andy, right? We're not necessarily chasing Zalatoris when we're getting into the high teens or maybe even low 20s. I want Zal in a spot where you're going to be probably kicking around the 8 to 12 range for a winning score, right? He's not a massive birdie maker. He's mostly just positional golf, decade golf, keep yourself in play, grind those pars, pick out the birdie chances when they pop up.
Yeah, obviously you brought that up yesterday. I liked him because some of the stats and, trying to put some context to it because of the time he missed. But what you said and what you just said right now, you said that to me yesterday. It made a lot of sense. Where it is the kind of course, the kind of tournament and course combo where he can win. He doesn't have the, let's win the Sony. Let's
right.
Just go shot for shot, win a putting contest, or have to be 28 under. Like, he is a nice grinded out type of golfer. And, if he's at that 25 to 28 range for you, I think landing on the right side of the draw, he's very desirable in this one.
Yeah. He's the only one that, definitely where I'm looking first is the Zalatoris tee time. We catch an early Thursday, late Friday, and he will be on the card. I think you're seeing anywhere between 25s and 30s right now. I will advise taking that number. That'll be one that I like. The rest of it is kind of going to be, draw dependent for sure. So that's kind of it for now. Anything else you want to look at data wise? Are we going to wrap it?
Yeah, I think we might be tapped out. We just don't have a lot of guys we want to talk about. I don't know, is there anyone else that you're like eyeing up but waiting on that you've loved this week and are just worried about the time so far?
Not really, to be honest. I will definitely consider like a dummy. I'll definitely consider Hovland if he's on the right side of the draw. I shouldn't, but if he's gonna be like 60, it's just one of those things where I'm gonna feel so dumb not having it. I probably should just let him be and let him figure it out. I'm with you. Like, I wish Shane was better priced. Maybe it's just that if Lowry's on the right side of it, maybe it's just a 2-man Lowry Clark card. I like Lowry more than Connors or Straka in that range. My model likes Straka a little bit more. Part of that is just stupid mental stuff of like Steph's going to win twice before the Masters. I don't know. Lowry, another one that I typically like in a spot where it's not a crazy birdie fest. He's just going to kind of grind himself out. So 22 or so on Lowry is interesting if he's on the right side. So could just be Lowry Zalatoris. There's not a lot of deep down bombs that are profiling super well for me. I like Tom Kim. I like the ball striking from Tom Kim at the Players. I don't like, he's like 28-32 right now, and that's just a little rich in my opinion. So, but not a lot of down the board bombs. This is a good spot too for maybe live ads because it's just the high variance of the event.
Yeah, figuring who's reading the Bermuda well, who's just putting well, and who's doing the other things you need to.
Horschel's 100. It's too big, but he's not been playing very well. It feels like we've been betting Horschel like 45, 55 a bunch, and now all of a sudden he's not a great field, not a terrible field, but like should he be 100? That feels a little rich.
I bet Horschel lately. Chan Kim, nice bomb, cut last week, played bad because it's the Players, but really good performance down in Puerto Rico, decent at COG, decent in the Altfield Mexico one. I think it's maybe not a to-win bet, but might be a top 10, top 20 bet. He's a bit of a grinder too, really good bogey avoidance guy. He puts better on Bermuda than Bent somehow, which doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't think that sample's super huge. Yeah, it's last 6 months, it's like a 10-round sample for some of those. So I think he's going to be an okay putter here and decent, 200 to 300, but from like that 150 to 200, he's pretty good. So good long irons, good grinder. Chan Kim, he's probably on the list of positional plays if you have finishing positions. That's the word I was looking for.
Oh, the other one, Nikolai Højgaard. Nikolai, 14th in my model. All the approach stuff, rolling approach has been really, really good. Good from the proximity buckets that matter. And he's like 100 as well. It's another guy that we're betting at significantly shorter numbers. Rasmus is right there too. Rasmus has not been playing nearly as well as Nikolai. So Nikolai at triple digits in this field is going to get a bet for me if he's on the right side of it too. So that's it. That's all I got.
I think that's it too. I think we might call our week. We'll get after it. If you have anything else, hop in the Discord. There's free channels. You can tag us. If you have any questions, hit us up on Twitter. If we missed a guy and you wanted some opinions on him, tweet at us. I'll tell you what I think. I have people DM me every week. What do you think of this guy? I had somebody DM me the other week about what was the alt field?
Puerto Rico?
Yeah, Puerto Rico. He was in a one and done that made you do both. I'm like, oh God, what kind of sicko are you? Those are tough because those are very, very random. It feels like at times the people who win some of those alt field events. So, God, who was the guy who won it at just a massive price last year? I'm gonna have to go back and look. There was like a 500 to 1 name in one of those alts.
There's a Ryan Brame one.
Brame, yeah, Brame was a big price.
Yeah,
that was Herman-esque.
Yeah,
although Jim Herman won a big boy event, big enough for a Jim Herman. I was proud of him that week. So if you want to check out the rabbit hole, promo code Bermuda, just like the grass, just like the country. $10 off a monthly, so that says $29.99. You get it for $19.99. You can see what tournaments you get: Valspar, Houston, Valero, Masters, RBC for that first month. Not a bad price, $20 to try it out. Check that out if you have any questions or you're having issues. Again, DM us. We'll see you next week.